Directors of companies found to have been involved in anti-competitive cartels could face criminal charges. Minister of Justice and Correctional Services Ronald Lamola says there are talks between the Competition Commission and National Prosecuting Authority to criminalise cartel conduct. The minister was speaking at the Competition Commission's 13th annual Law, Economics and Policy Conference in Pretoria. Our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa is standing by. Very good afternoon to Mbalenhle. What else came out of that conference?
Good afternoon, Zinga. This year's annual conference is held under the theme of its 20th anniversary. This is the Competition Commission's 20th anniversary. And we've had two very significant speakers this morning, one being the Competition Commission's commissioner, who spoke about the levels of competition, the very low levels of competition in the market, saying that they affect the poor more than anyone else. This is because the poor have to pay higher prices for goods and services because of the monopolistic nature of the market. And basically we heard Ronald Lamola, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, speaking about how an economy, a growing economy, is in the interest of everyone, and that cartel behavior and an exclusionary economy is basically stifling economic growth. And conversations also continue to talk about the Constitution and how the Constitution can be used to break down and dismantle monopolies within the economy. And this is something that is actually outlined within the Constitution. However, we've heard from panelists speaking here today that this has not been happening and it has not been used. But to speak to me more about the Competition Commission's work is none other than the Competition Commission's Commissioner, Tembinkosi Bonakele. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Please tell us about how competition law can be used to create an inclusive economy and basically stimulate growth in the country.
Well, growth requires people to contribute towards it. And an economy that's concentrated and is exclusionary, excludes a lot of other people from participating, cannot reach its potential. And competition law holds the possibility that you can dismantle barriers to entry. So new participants can enter markets, SMMEs, historically disadvantaged individuals, they can enter market, and through their entry you are not just empowering them, but you are growing the entire economy.
Okay, with regards to these low levels of competition that are affecting the poor, please tell us more about what the Commission can do in order to alleviate the burden on the poor.
The Commission has already done a lot of work, for an example, in basic food products such as bread, maize meal, flour, baking flour, and things like that. Those hurt poor consumers because poor consumers spend most of their money buying food. So if the price of basic food products is subject to cartels, which have the effect of increasing prices, you're hurting, of course, every consumer, but more particularly the poor. So the Commission, I think, has to step up its work in this area, monitor, for example, things like food prices in order to protect the poor.
Okay, you said something about digitization and how you'll be looking at the manner in which taxi hail apps are pricing their products in South Africa, looking at, you mentioned Uber as well as Taxify. Please tell us more about the work you're going to be doing over there.
We're already doing a lot of work. We are looking at competition in that segment of the market. Of course, they also compete with meter taxis. We are looking at whether the ground rules, the playing field is level. There have been complaints about regulations, for example, that would apply to meter taxis but not apply to Uber and Taxify. So we're looking at all of that, and we should be issuing a report by end of this month with recommendations about how to make sure that that market is more competitive.
Okay, so we heard this morning Minister of Justice and Correctional Services commending the work of the Competition Commission, particularly with regards to the bread cartels. What's next for the Competition Commission going forward? What are your plans?
We have to focus on inclusive growth. So we have to focus on opening up markets. So we're doing a lot of work and we have to do a lot of work with sectors where there are large firms that are gatekeepers. So for example, if you look at a sector like retail, if you want to sell products in South Africa, 65%, 70% of the market is held by the 4 largest retailers. So if you have a product, let's say you produce milk or whatever, for you to be able to sell that milk at a large scale, you must have a deal with one of these retailers. So we have to now focus on making sure that they don't block entrance. And even when there is entrance, the terms are not unfair. The terms of entry and the contracting is not unfair. This is the major work that the Commission has to do if SMMEs and historically disadvantaged person has a chance to participate in the economy.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it, Nzinga. That was Tembinkosi Bonakele, who is the Competition Commission's commissioner. Tomorrow, though, we are expecting to hear from Justice Chief Justice Mogoeng, who's going to be speaking about the Constitution and possibly how it can affect, improve rather, and sharpen competition laws in the country. For now, Nzinga, it is back to you in studio.
Thanks, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, giving us an update from the Competition Commission's annual conference there. Of course, we know that in South Africa, cartel conduct is criminalised. That was introduced by the amendments to the Competition Act, perhaps also speaking about the need for proper implementation. But cartel conduct is criminalised in South Africa. It's time for a short break. When we come back,